Well, this is very exciting. Our next guest is one of the best wrestling coaches to some of the world's biggest MMA stars out there today. I'm talking about people like Israel Adesanya. I'm talking about Alex Volkanovski and countless others from Thailand to Australia to New Zealand. He currently joins us straight out of CKB and Auckland. Frank Hickman, dude, welcome to Submission Radio properly for the first time. What an honor and privilege this is for us to have you in the house.
Thank you, boys. Appreciate the intro. Good to be on the show finally. Hey.
I know. The pleasure is 100% all ours. I got to say, man, right off the bat, it's always a busy time for you, especially right now. You're just at freestyle MMA with Volko, now back at CKB. Dude, I got to ask, how do you manage so many different camps at the same time?
I guess I just live the gypsy lifestyle sometimes.
Yeah.
I've come to that realization that I've taken on the gypsy lifestyle. But to be fair, the only time I travel would be for usually Volk's or Izzy's camp, which usually entails a couple of the other boys in the camp. So if I'm not in Australia or mostly New Zealand, then I'm back at Bang Tao and Muay Thai. So fortunately, we're on this side of the world, so the travel isn't as bad as what people would think. But you got to do what you got to do sometimes for the boys. So, again, this is a privilege that I live the life that I live.
What's home for you? Like, what's the official home? You must feel so close to so many different countries, but what's officially home for you?
Phuket, Thailand is home for me. So the boys and I, with our new gym, Bang Tao, right there in Phuket, that's where I call home. That's kind of where, I put my feet up and stuff like that. So if you don't find me, again, over here or somewhere for a fight week or, I'm always in Phuket, Thailand.
All right, so break that down for us, man, because, obviously me and Casper know Thailand for some of the trips that we've gone to there in the past. And it's obviously a fun place to go, to train, to get drunk and experience all sorts of adventures. But what's it like for you to actually live there, man? Like, what's it like as a citizen over there? What kind of life is it over there?
It's a great life. Phuket has, believe it or not, a lot to offer. Where we are in the island is the northern part of the island. It's only about 20 minutes from the airport. We're between Bang Tao, Surin Beach. And it's a place to where you never need a coat. You never really need a hoodie. You might need a rain jacket every now and then in rainy season. But for the most part, it's sunny, it's warm, it's outdoors, which is the benefit that I really enjoy the most. It's a place to where, you can come on a holiday and experience it. If you go to the northern part of Thailand, they have mountains and good stuff like that. But where we are is mostly beach, mostly sand. And like I said, the benefit for me is it's warm year round. I don't enjoy the cold really at all. Every now and then, maybe the first snow, but for the most part, I prefer the sunshine, 80 degrees or more. And being so close to the beach where I'm from in the States, the South, I kind of grew up near about 20 minutes or so from the beach. So it reminds me a bit of home. It's really a paradise.
Well, obviously people are going to go over there to train with you at Bang Tao, Muay Thai and MMA. And we'll get to that a little bit later, but got to get it from you, man, because everybody right now, we're all traveling over to Bali, Thailand, trying to have a good time. So we're going to go over there and train with you. But if we're looking to have a good time, is there one bar, one area that you could recommend people can go check out?
And the best ping pong shows.
I would definitely. Well, ping pong shows, you can kind of like pick where you want to go. That's more like the Batong area. That's like the party area, which I recommend everybody gives it a look, gives it a try for a night or two, especially if you're out there with the boys. It is a good time, but if once you've lived there for a certain amount of time, you don't ever really go down there unless you absolutely have to. So
you're just used to the ping pong shows at this point. Let's be honest. You just walk past them, sipping a coffee, going, it's just a Monday.
It's like dodgeball in training. If you can dodge a ping pong ball, you can dodge a punch.
This is true, man. A lot of the places know some of the boys on a first name basis, which isn't necessarily.
Volko, how you going?
Love what you've done with the place. I would say, obviously Patong is where like all the action or whatever will be, but the area we're in, like the Bang Tao Surin, it kind of has whatever you want and has everything to offer as far as training, as far as like hotels. There's heaps of I would say, resorts. There's several beach clubs within the area. So the place is just growing, and it's getting more populated. And I wouldn't say more populated, but it's definitely getting bigger, becoming more westernized. But it still has like the homegrown Thailand feel, which a lot of the locals, which you do want to experience as well, because, you know, Thailand can be a bit of a hustle and bustle sometimes. But also, if you get out of Patong and away from the madness, you do and you can enjoy the luxuries that this place has to offer with the food, the culture, the people, you know, how far you can stretch your dollar versus anywhere else. Yeah, it's a good spot to be.
Yeah. I was there in 2019 on a boys' trip, and dude, let me tell you, Bangla still has our soul. Bangla Road. It's just amazing. It's just like, to us, it felt so wild west. Anything goes. It takes you a day or two to kind of adjust, and then you love it. You revel in it, man. All right, we are around the corner from UFC 280, and it seems like Alex Volkanovski is the backup, man, for the main event, the big one. Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. Dude, what was your reaction when you heard, he's officially the backup for this one?
I was excited for Alex. I was excited for his family, for you know, his gym, to put himself in the position that he has, to be the backup for a weight class above for a title fight like that kind of shows like it's a true testament to his character and what he's done and accomplished at the featherweight division. I know he's still has a lot more that he wants to do in that division, but, you know, when the UFC allows somebody to go up, you know, they've really made a statement of what they've done previously with his career and stuff. And, you know, again, like Alex has put himself in that position. So I couldn't be happier for him and his team. And I think either way, you know, being a backup, you don't know if you're going to get the call in. Something obviously has to happen drastically for somebody to pull out, you know, whether it's weight, injury, visa issues, etc. But, you know, I know he'll be ready. He's in great nick, as he always is, even with a cast. You know, people saw him not being able to do certain things, but Alex is always going to find a way around it to make sure he maximizes, you know, his workouts and what he gets out of them. So being over there in that atmosphere is awesome. You know, he did this once with the Max Holloway versus Edgar. He flew to Canada, had a horrific journey to get there, cut heaps of weights, made weight, solidified his spot as the backup, or excuse me, as the next in line. And I think that's kind of what he's done for this one too, for this lightweight title, you know, between Oliveira and Islam, which will be a great fight, you know, in my opinion. He's put himself there to be in line for the next go. You know, I think when the chips fall and the winner of that fight gets his hand raised, Alex will be next in line. And I don't know how the UFC goes about things. You know, they have their team that sits down and they go through the numbers and logistics, and they figure out where's the best place to do it, who's the best place or who's the best opponent, how they want to line it up. But man, he's put himself in a position through years of hard work to be able to be this backup. And like I said, there's never a guarantee when you go to this when you put in that position. But again, it kind of cements him as the next in line, which is what you want to see. You can't really get much better than that.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for Volkanovski, like great exposure and obviously great recognition. I have no doubt that Volkanovski is in great shape, as he always is. But how well prepared is he specifically for Islam or Charles, two guys that people see as monsters in the division, two guys that might be either starting or continuing their very own eras? Is there almost a fear of like getting the call and being like, okay, we're taking on, you know, an absolute monster with, you know, pretty minimal preparation?
No. Again, Alex and his team wouldn't take this fight. They wouldn't agree, not take this fight. They wouldn't agree to fly to Abu Dhabi to make weight and to be the backup if they weren't in a position to where if they did get the call to step up and take the fight, you know. I think that was pretty clear. They discussed it with the coaches and that, and, you know, everyone felt that Volk was in a position to where, you know, his stamina or his physicality or his training, that if he did get the nod by some circumstance, you know, he would be ready to go. And by any means, this is no easy task. These guys, like you said, they are monsters in this division, you know. Islam has a tremendous track record, and Oliveira, you know, what he's done in the past year and a half to 2 years is I mean, everybody knows it's not going unseen. This guy has really shaken up not only this division, but the whole UFC with what he's done and how he's gone about doing it. So, yeah, if Volk does get this nod, if something does go wrong, he'll be ready to go. He'll be fit enough. Again, like I said, don't let the cast fool you. Volk's always training, whether it's S&C or wrestling or whether he's hitting pads with one hand. You know, when when Kai fought in Dallas, when Volk came out, his hand was in the cast and he had one hand and he was kicks and he was hitting pads with just his one good hand. So he was still finding ways and getting in really good workouts, going about things how he normally would, you know, just overcoming and adapting and finding different ways to go about his workouts, but he was still getting it done. He knew what was at stake and he knows like what he wants to do.
Yeah, we love Volk, and you know we've spoken to him before when he went into fights. He's like, "Nah, I feel great," and then after the fight, it's like I had a missing leg, basically. Like, you're like, "What?
Yeah.
What? You told us everything was good." Hey, so okay, let's just quickly talk about if he does get in here, because I guess the big question is around Charles Oliveira. People are like, "Oh, is he going to make weight?" Blah blah blah. He probably will, but I suppose the matchup here will be Islam versus Alex. This is what a lot of people are thinking about. So I want to pick your brain here for a second. Obviously, Islam's wrestling is incredible. How do you see Alex matching up with him in this matchup? Alex himself brings in very, very dangerous grappling and wrestling, but obviously he's got the striking as well and that power too. I just wonder how will that translate over in the lightweight division, and how will he be able to match up with Islam's level of wrestling as well?
I think Alex's wrestling will match up well with Islam. You know, I think being that Islam is from the side of the world he is, Dagestan, the Caucasus, and the level of wrestling that they have out there and the tradition that they have, you know, at the World Olympic level is incredible. You know, the best wrestling in the world. That's like the best pocket for it. But Alex doesn't get the credit he deserves because he's from Australia, and wrestling isn't the big sport in Australia. You know, it's more of like for the NRL and everything like that. But Alex has, you know, really good wrestling. Sometimes he doesn't really show it in his fights, but he's always training his wrestling. He's always grappling. He's always fit for that grappling in those positions. So Islam is very good at what he does. He has an incredible threat for anybody, but, you know, defending and also not only defending, managing his wrestling of Islam is a tough and difficult task. But I reckon if anybody could do it, it would be Alex, because, you know, with the work that he puts in and the positions that he goes over, and I think his kind of mental state of things and how he looks at it, you know, we've had the discussion many times. If it does come up, like, he would be ready for it, you know. And I'm not saying it would be easy by any means, because we've seen what Islam is capable of. And, you know, obviously there's the hype around Khabib as his coach, sits in his corner, and he's one of the best grapplers to ever do it. But, you know, don't let Volk being from Australia and him coming up a weight shy you away from the fact that he puts in a long yard when it comes to his wrestling.
I want to talk about Islam versus Charles for a second. Like, when you look at Islam, like, we've had a lot of incredible wrestlers in the UFC, but sometimes they just stand above the rest, like Khabib, like Islam. What do you think it is about Islam that makes him so much more special or dominant? I'm curious if you think that his dominance will translate now that he's taking a big step up in competition. And also, I'm curious how Charles's jiu-jitsu will sort of play a factor, you know, if Charles is on the bottom in this fight.
You know, this is one of those debates of, like, the people always say wrestling versus like jiu-jitsu, who wins. When you're both so high level, it's a game of inches, right? Even though this sport is a game of inches anyway, at this, especially this level, when you have a high level grappler, jiu-jitsu like Charles, and you have somebody who's a high level grappler wrestler like Islam, it's the styles kind of, you know, it's a question of like whose is better. But being able to mix it up and put it all together, like I said, it isn't just that. You know, everything plays a role. You know, you have your stand up and everything like that. So when you mix it all together, I think that, you know, the fans are the ones that are truly going to get the best out of this. And sometimes when you have two high level guys like this, it can be a bit boring, and sometimes it can be fireworks. So you really never know what you're going to get out of the two. Oliveira seems to find a way to put people away pretty easy, you know, and Islam can do the same. I think it's physicality. of Islam and the way he's built. And, it's no secret. He cuts a lot of weight as well, and unfortunately Charles missed weight last time. I know there was the whole scale gate thing of what happened. Nobody really got the full story. You probably never will get the full story, but, Islam also cuts a lot of weight as well. So, when you got two high level guys like this, and it's going to be, fuck, man, you don't really know what you're going to get out of it. But I think it's going to be something to where it'll be fireworks. And I wouldn't be surprised if so many people are harping on Islam's wrestling that Oliveira might just say the hell with it, and he tries to take down, Islam. Mm-hmm. And then, or if Islam takes down old boy and he catches him with something on the way down, creates a scramble, you have that threat, and they've both done their homework. Both their coaches have done their homework. They know where the guys are good, where they need to be, where they need to put themselves, and also the positions where they need to be very, very careful. So a lot of people think, oh, Islam's too big and he's going to lay on him and just kind of smother him like a blanket. That could very well happen. But also what could happen is Oliveira, if he does get taken down and he gets down there, he may be switching some things up, maybe get a reversal, maybe get right back to his feet, and then you're back to square one, So when you put that stuff into play and you add nerves and you add the fact that the crowd's there, then you have, you're in Islam's backyard and, you have the weight cut at it and the fact that it's a title fight. It's a lot of pressure, man. It's a lot of added stuff on top of it. So I can see both guys coming out on top in one way or the other, just depending on how the fight really plays out, man. That's something that we haven't seen a high-level match like this of grappling/wrestling in a really long time.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. It's also interesting over there because the fights are on at a weird time. And I know we've had fighters in the past talk about it. And I mean, even Alex Volkanovski himself in that Max Holloway fight say, hey, it took him a second to kind of kick into gear because it's just like getting used to walking out of those weird times can be a little bit difficult. Wondering, I know you're kind of seeing scenarios for both guys to win here, but when you think about who Alex will be fighting for that lightweight belt, who do you think, who are you sort of leaning towards in this one? Who do you believe is going to walk out victorious?
Oh, it's hard to pick against the brothers, but I would like to say, from a coaching perspective, and I like both these guys. I'm non-biased. I like both of them. They're great athletes. I think the hype around Charles, I shouldn't say hype because, he's very good, but I think what Charles brings, stylistically would be great because Islam is unbelievably good at what he does, but that's what he does, right? You know what you're going to get for the most part with Islam, not taking anything away from him again. But with Charles, he's able to mix it up a bit more. He has KOs on his record, against, Chandler. He dropped Gaethje. He was giving it to Poirier on his feet as well, and then he can mix up his grappling side of things. So from a coach's standpoint, as far as I think a legacy standpoint for Alex and him to go down in the history books, I would like to see Charles come out on top. Again, I hope the boys don't get dirty at me for saying that, but that's just what I would like to see. I think Alex will eventually fight both of them. They're both at the top of their weight class, and Alex is at the top of his, and he has his chance to go up. But, who's to say in the future maybe he wouldn't go up again, and these two or whichever one might present themselves the next time. But you're going to ask me right now from a coach's standpoint, I would say Charles Oliveira, because he's coming off of an incredible run, the past year and a half, just a short amount of time of what he was able to do. And, the more eyes he's brought into the sport and how he's gone about it, man, just the way he can finish people and stuff. It would be great to kind of game plan and try to, as the coaches, put your heads together and think about something like that for a guy of that caliber.
I wonder, just quickly on that, and we were talking to a number of people about this, the legacy when it comes to lightweight. Obviously, Khabib, one of the GOATs, somebody that went out on top and was able to dominate everybody. But if Charles is able to go out here and beat Islam in a convincing fashion, in your mind, is he starting to build a resume that can eventually rival Khabib's, get him in that conversation as another sort of one of the best of all time when it comes to lightweight champions, perhaps even overtake Khabib if he is able to get a few more wins down the road?
Yes, absolutely. He doesn't. Khabib is great because he retired at 29, or excuse me, maybe it was 30-0. But when he retired, he was undefeated. He went out on top. He rode off in the sunset. That's everybody's dream. But I think, with Charles coming in and, he had a rocky start. I believe, I could be off on this, he was 8-8 at one point, and then that's when he really turned the corner and started to make his gains. So people kind of see his early careers and they say, oh, well, he lost to this guy and lost to that guy. Well, sometimes people don't hit their strides till, later in their careers, or maybe they have to adjust some things and figure some things out. And Oliveira is, nobody gives a damn what he did kind of when he was losing and stuff like that. They're worried about what he's doing now. And what he's doing now is he's on a roll, man. He's smoking people. So, I think the way he's doing it, and the way he's kind of shutting these naysayers up is he's slowly but surely, not even really slowly, because fuck, man, he's had some fights in the past year and a half. He's putting together an impressive resume. I don't think that Volk will make his resume the way he wants them to, but again, I see that fight with Volk playing in Volk's favor. But the resume that he's building, that Charles Oliveira, and he's staying active. I watched an interview with Alex, and he's saying how he loves the fact that Oliveira is staying active. That's what you want as a fan, and from a business point of view for the UFC. That's what you want. You want your champ staying active. You want your champ fighting 2 to 3 times a year. You know what I mean? Boom, they win, have a little break, boom, back in camp, on to the next one. What's next for us? That's what you want, and he's doing that. So credit to him.
Yeah. Oh, massive credit. Huge credit. Speaking of what's next, I'll tell you what's next. You're going to hop in the shower and you're going to use the pound for pound greatest grooming tool in the world to shave your head, face, and especially your junk, so you can have a transformation not unlike the first time Goku went Super Saiyan, because you are going to be 1000% a better version of yourself and the best man you can possibly be with Manscaped's Lawnmower 4.0, the greatest grooming tool in the world. Ceramic blade, no more nicks and cuts, 7,000 RPM of pure power, LED light, waterproof, and wireless charging dock. So you just chuck that thing over there like a Kamehameha or a spirit bomb and just move on with your life while it charges. And the Platinum Package 4.0, the best value, the best package, after your package that is, comes with the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Ultra Premium body wash, the Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, the Ultra Premium deodorant, the Crop Preserver anti-chafing ball deodorant, and the Crop Reviver ball spray toner, so that your junk, your newly managed smooth as eggshells junk, smells fantastic. And free gifts, which are boxes and shed travel bag. Can't beat it. Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, man. I've still been using that same bag, that first one that we got on all the trips that I go on. That thing is amazing. And, that Lawnmower 4.0, I just have it charged and ready to go next to the shower. And that is an absolute lifesaver. You guys can experience it yourself by using the code word submission, getting 20% off and free shipping today at Manscaped. And while you guys are saving some serious money, why not make some serious money with our friends at MyBookie? You guys could use the code word submission for a 100% match bonus. That's right, 100% match bonus all the way dollar for dollar up to $1,000. Use that code word submission now. Sign up and make some serious cash while supporting the program. And just quickly, just looking at some of these odds, I wonder if you guys could let me know in the comment section below on social media, which way will you be leaning in this Sean O'Malley Petr Yan fight at UFC 280? Sean O'Malley at a plus 231, Petr Yan at a minus 312. Well, how about TJ Dillashaw versus Aljamain Sterling? TJ right now at a plus 138. Aljo at a minus 178, or even in the big main event, Islam versus Charles. Islam at a minus 178, Charles plus 139. Go on, make your money and double that bet, 100% match deposit bonus thanks to the code word submission at MyBookieCast.
There you go. While you're making money, save some money. It's holiday season around the corner. What if you could get the same gifts from the same website but cheaper? Well, you can, thanks to NordVPN, the greatest VPN in the world. Change your geolocation with a single click. We live in Australia. With one click of a button, bang, we're in Germany. Now we're in Brazil. Bang, now we're in America, because things cost different prices in different parts of the world. I can buy Netflix, but if I make my computer think I'm in Mexico, it's cheaper. I know the NBA season has started. It's preseason at the moment. And Dennis, I know last time you got that juicy little NBA League Pass, but you made your computer, it's quite pricey. You made your computer think that you were in, I think, the Philippines or Indonesia or something. All of a sudden, price comes down. works for, certain events, certain pay-per-views, all sorts of things, other streaming services. Also with NordVPN, all your data is protected so that your pesky little internet service provider cannot monitor all the spicy websites you're looking at. Works for flights as well. Same flights, same website, different prices, thanks to NordVPN. Isn't that right, Dennis?
Yeah, man, get a huge, massive discount right now. This is a special deal for all you listeners out there at NordVPN, plus 4 months free if you go to nordvpn.com/submission or click the link in the description below. And don't forget, it's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's nothing stopping you from trying it today.
All right, Frank, going back to you, man, I got to ask, we're talking about Volko and what's next. Obviously, the UFC are coming down to Perth, and by all accounts, it's going to be a title fight. And in the main event, suspicions are it's going to be Volko. But the big question is, do you believe we see him defending his belt at featherweight, or is he going to be challenging for the lightweight belt? What do you think, man?
Love a bit of Western Australia, if I'm being honest with you, boys.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I do love a bit of Perth. Last time the fight card was in Perth, it was awesome, man. It was a really
debut
good
in the UFC.
Yeah, it was Dizzy's debut. Alex had a great showing. Tyson fought, Ty fought, Mark Hunt fought. It was awesome. So it was a really good time. I don't know. That's something that I know it was just announced last week or earlier this week. Again, that's the logistical side of things. From a coach's point of view, especially a wrestling coach, you kind of just you wait to hear through the grapevine, or maybe one of the coaches, maybe Uncle Joey Baggs will message the chat and say, hey, here's the situation. But for the most part, that's with the UFC, the managers. Like I said before, it's an Aussie card, so you got to assume it's based around the Aussies, and they want to headline an Aussie, preferably a title fight. And it's just a matter of them figuring out who it will be. If it's at 45, awesome. If it's at 55, fuck, even better, right? But
yeah.
If you look at the timeline, he's fighting in October, November, December, January, February. You got 3.5, just under 4 months. So the time is there, right? You have enough time to make that happen. But man, that's a business call. So the UFC will have that after this fight. They'll probably sit down, evaluate, look at the best possible outcome and scenarios, and kind of go through a pecking order of figure out who they want to go with and how they want to go and what weight. I'd be excited for it either way, man, because like I said, I think Australia, New Zealand has some of the best MMA fans in the world. And I really do mean that, man. They have not only the best fans, they have some incredible talent as well.
And not to throw shade at any of our friends over in the US, because obviously so many great friends and listeners over there. But in Australia, they show up pretty much from the start of the fights at 8 in the morning, 7 in the morning. And when you go to Vegas, sometimes you go out there on the main card and it's still a little bit quiet. So it's a little, guys get excited. They get on the booze. They go out the night before and they sleep in the seats trying to wake up through the prelims. It's hilarious.
Let's be honest, boys. In Australia, half the boys don't sleep when they go to the fights the next day. They're still up, right? They're still up. And that is something, fighting on a Sunday, like in Australia, New Zealand, when Ty made his debut, when I was over there for that, fortunately, when's the fight? That's a Sunday. And I'm like, a Sunday? He's like, yeah, over here we fight on a Sunday. And then you're done by 4:00, And when I say you're done by 4:00, for the most part, you're done at 4. Team photos, media, the boys are done. You're back at the hotel by 4:30. So you have that rest of the day to kind of soak it all in, be with your team, family, friends. Boys play up a bit. So it's kind of, it's awesome the way that they do that on a Sunday versus a Saturday night. And again, there's nothing wrong with having it on a Saturday night. It's great. In Vegas is always a tremendous crowd. And then when you go to the East Coast, like this time I'm going to be in New York, it'll finish a bit later. But, there's just something about having those fights in the morning up through midday that you can really get behind. You know what I mean? And like you said, man, the people show up there, they either don't sleep or they show up early, and they're there for the long haul all day. So it's good to see.
Well, I'll tell you what, dude, I love it. It's actually it's like a different world, isn't it? And then you go on a Sunday arvo, you grab yourself a Palmer at the pub, and then you watch the fights. It's a different world. But I gotta say, Mr. Frank, it's exciting times right now for you and CKB. Now I know you're getting the guys ready for UFC 281. So what we want to do is want to get you back on a little bit closer to the fight to discuss that one. But for now, you guys can follow Frank Hickman on his amazing journey at Jiffy 90, GIFI 90. And of course, why not book a trip to Bantam, Muay Thai, and MMA and train with the man himself? Man, the facility looks amazing. And it's basically, if you're ever considering, trying your hand at potentially doing some really great training and potentially maybe getting a couple of fights and learning from the very best, maybe running into some of the world's best fighters or some UFC fighters that you know of, it's really a no-brainer, I think, to go over there and train with Frank. I mean, it's just from your perspective, man, as we wrap, is there a better play? Like, is there a better mix of holiday fun and training in your mind anywhere else in the world?
As far as, like I told you, man, and I mean this, our facility in Bangtao is outdoors. We have a cafe grill that's inside this AC, but other than that, our fitness area, our MMA area, our Muay Thai area, everything's outdoors. So it's warm, it's humid. You're guaranteed to sweat. You're guaranteed to get good training and cardio in. The people in the area are phenomenal. The price for what you get as far as food and that, you can't really beat it. And, we're expanding our gym, our MMA area. We're building a new, expanding boxing in our Muay Thai. We're expanding the S&C area. So we have some big things coming in the future. I'm excited for high season's right around the corner. For those of you that don't know what high season is, starts in December and it goes for about 5 to 6 months of pure sun. You may see rain maybe once a month, if that. For the most part, it's a tropical paradise. We're 2 to 3 minutes from 2 different beaches. So you really are, people come over, they train, they got their families, they do a session in the morning, they go to the beach, they do a session in the evenings, and then they enjoy it for a bit. So you can get the holiday in, you can get the training, you can keep the missus happy. You can, you really have all. And then, for you boys, because you are some sickos, you can go down and see the ping pong shows if you want.
Yeah, we are.
That's your agenda, boys. But hey, like I said, if you come out, don't expect me to go with you, but I'll point you in the right direction.
Here we go. Who are you lying to, Frank Hickman? You'll be the first one to join us, guys. There he is. Make sure to check out Bantam, Muay Thai, and MMA, and of course the man himself. Can't wait to see what happens next. Thank you so much, Frank. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, boys.